The following is a paid promotional message. Do you have pests invading your domicile? Stray kobolds making a mess of your new carpeting? Crystalline spiders infesting your basement? It's time to fight back. Call Momentary and Company immediately. We're the foremost experts in the Velketor area at exterminating even the most extensive pest problems. We'll root out the problem or your money back. Give us a call at 1-800-MO&CO or stop by our 3 easy-to-get-to locations all around the greater Velketor area. And remember, don't let another moment go by before calling Momentary and Company.
Let's go!
Well, hey everybody. Welcome to a video that's not in Chardock. So, recently I've made some pilgrimages back over to Velketor's Labyrinth, which used to be pretty much my one and only home before Chardock. So, I wanted to give y'all a tour out here and show you around the Broodmother camp. So, I'm standing here at the entrance to Velks. One thing you'll want to learn quickly about the zone is there are trains to this entrance, but we enchanters have a fairly handy trick for getting around Velks, and that is to have the Illusion Werewolf spell. So, not one we use terribly often, but I have it memmed here in my first slot, and I will cast it. And that will take me to conning glares rather than scowls. Then if we use our faction spell, okay, guess we have a quake. That's a surprise. And we're back. So that was fun. So I'll show you how to get down to BM. So we're kind of taking the path up here to Frenzy. Have to jump over this little hole, across here, up some more ramps. Obviously it's called the Labyrinth, so the zone is pretty much a maze. But up this ramp is Frenzy. Usually going to be camped. Shamans and necros like this camp a lot. So yep, there's a shaman there. And really just checking for any name spawn, which looked like the Quake didn't give us any named. This ramp right here, you gotta watch because it's slippery. Alright, so we go down here through the false wall and come to this large room with some ramps in the center. I kind of jump off this one over here. Go around in a circle. Yeah, once you've done this a few times, it becomes second nature, but it's certainly kind of daunting at first, and you might fall off. All these ramps are pretty slippery, so I just have had a lot of practice to get down to this camp. We're going to go through I believe it's the Upper Dogs area. Go back and around here. Now, the one thing you really have to be careful about is when we'll drop down the well up here. You have to get out in the right direction. So you notice here, I kind of go left. It's a little hard to see, I guess, but if you don't, you can spawn a trap, an ice crystal trap that will be KOS even if you're in werewolf form. Oh, we got a Broodmaster. Cool. So what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to cut to some earlier footage of me going through a clear, and we'll see you there. Alright, welcome back. So you can see here, I have pretty much the full spawn right now. So what I'm going to do is start going through and clearing the camp. I'll fast forward through some of this after I kind of go through my method a couple times, but just to... I'm out of practice too, so just to get y'all some context of what I'm doing here, I'll go through it at least once. So broodlings are fairly easy to pacify. You won't get many, especially crit resists. Once you get to stalkers, there is a decent chance you're gonna get a crit resist, and then hunters, I really try not to have to pacify them. Just because they are very likely to resist, and they are mean when they come with friends. So getting through the pacifies here. I usually use this pet back here. I'll always use a stalker pet, just because they tend to hit harder than broodlings, in addition to not summoning like hunters, so that they're kind of the middle sweet spot. You'll see here I usually do a stun and then tash and then a really quick charm before the stun wears off. And I mostly do this because I'm impatient. I don't want to wait for Mez to wear off. So, alright, we're going to pull this Stalker here. So I usually pull with slow, especially on Stalkers and Broodlings. So just kind of pull him. I also, well, that was not the best pull, but I usually try to get my pet to get in one backstab when the fight starts. Just kind of, you know, sets the enemy mob back a few hundred HP. Alright, so, you know, same buffs, debuffs. I throw haste on my pet. I usually throw a damage shield on my pet because it's free with the earring. I'll pull with slow. I'll tash the enemy mob, and then for stalkers and broodlings specifically, I will root. Wouldn't recommend it for anything else. So hunters, large shards, and the name down here will summon. And if they're rooted, they're pretty much guaranteed to summon you, which can lead to just really nasty backstabs. Because, by the way, all the spiders down here backstab, so they're all rogues. So some of the name, the brood mother, brood master, they can do, you know, a hefty chunk of your HP, if not all of it, in a double backstab. So you just really have to watch your positioning. Try not to get summoned, or you could eat a few hundred HP damage in one shot there. Alright, so the Stalker's done. Pull a Broodling next. They're still pacified, so you can just pull at will. And because I'm using the Stalker pet, I will usually pull this room, this kind of center-ish room. Doesn't have any named in it, but I'll pull that first because it's just easier to access everything else from there. So as I fight these other broodlings, I'll probably speed things up a little bit, since this isn't the fun part. This is just the clearing. So real quick, 3 kinds of spiders other than named. There's the Velium broodlings. They're the lowest level. Don't hit particularly hard. Obviously that's all relative. And then there's the stalkers that, like I mentioned, I prefer as pets. They're kind of in the middle. And then the hunters hit the hardest. The downside of them is that they summon. So using one as a pet, maybe as a last resort, you can do it. I wouldn't recommend it because they can summon you into some pretty nasty situations. So speaking of hunters, we got one down the ramp here. I think I was just rusty when I was back down in Velks here, because I do throw a pacify on the other spider down there. You don't need to do that. They won't aggro if you pull this guy on the ramp here. But I usually clear that center room, and then I work my way down that ramp at a resist. See, they're pretty resistant. But I work my way down that ramp so that I can pull the mob to the left that I'll pull next. I'll show you the hunter fight though. So I'm trying to pull him back, but he definitely does a lot more damage to my pet, especially when he's unslowed. So I really, you know, that resist, I had to really get that slow back on him, or else my pet would get kind of wrecked here. One thing that's kind of nice down here is you see hide corpse looted. So if you have that setting on, once you loot one of the corpses, it'll just kind of hide from your screen. Really helpful for when you got a lot of spiders kind of stacking up, corpses with a lot of no drop threads on them, and then you don't have to worry about them interfering with targeting, that sort of thing. So obviously, like any charm fight, you gotta watch out for breaks. And there's one now. So I typically have color flux and color slant memmed. for this exact reason. So what I usually try to do is I will do my fast stun just to be able to get off the slower stun, which stuns for 6 seconds. That gives me enough time to throw down another Boltrans on my pet while they're both kind of just sitting there. And then, you know, I just really just have to tank the damage while my pet gets aggro again. You notice I also have Blanket of Forgetfulness up as well. That's handy for, you know, clearing aggro on the hunter especially that's beating on me. But usually I can get him off of me with just a little bit of time. And a slowed hunter, he's going to do some damage to you, but you know, he's not going to kind of whittle away your HP bar super quickly. So another break, so another double stun, and then this time I actually am mezzing them both. I'm getting a little bit low on mana, so I couldn't Boltrans again. So basically, the nice thing about having Mesmerization memmed is that I'm able to kind of pause the fight or even reset the fight. So you'll notice there, both my pet and the hunter had their aggro table cleared. So essentially, at that point, I'm just free to walk away. And again, the way to check that, you just have to make sure that they're still dubious to you, so that they're not going to come back and attack you again. Another nice thing about being down here is we have priests that spawn. There's a few mana users that you'll see down here. You can drain them. Usually pull up Wandering Mind and Theft of Thought. In this case, I just have Theft of Thought. So I'll fast forward a little bit here, just kind of canning down while I wait for Theft of Thought to come back. But yeah, very useful spells. I usually don't have room on my bar to really keep Theft of Thought up all the time, but when I'm recovering, it comes in handy. So what I will do, so Theft of Thought you see is up. So I will just cast level 4 Mez on the priest, and then go ahead and drain his mana. Get a nice few hundred back, and then I will mez him until he is no longer glaring at me threateningly. Usually takes a couple casts, but he's dubious and we're good to go. So now we can continue. So where we left off, we're killing that hunter, and had a couple of charm breaks that made me pull the ripcord on that fight. So let's get prepped and we'll get him downed. So again, you don't need to worry about that spider up behind him. He won't aggro. But so I'll grab the pet again. Lying in wait, pull with the slow, and the fight is on. Goes a lot better in fast motion. Alright, so for the next pull, I'm going to use some proximity aggro magic. So I'm going to dazzle this spider at the end of this hallway, and that'll pull his one neighbor. This is really useful because it kind of takes him out of contention from social aggro on the Broodmother room. You'll notice I use dazzle, so that's a 2-minute mez, but I will have to verify, right, that he is no longer aggroed. So he is still glaring at me threateningly, so I will grab level 4 mez here, and we'll just keep mezzing him until he gets wiped. So he is dubious, and we are good to go. He'll wake up and not remember us. So again, the reason I'm pulling this one prior to the Broodmother room, which is the one down the ramp, kind of back and to my left from where I am here, is so that he is taken out of contention He is one of the 4, right, that have that proximity aggro or social aggro in the Broodmother room. So if we can take him out using social aggro without aggroing the rest, then it's a lot easier to kind of manipulate that room, especially when there's a Broodmother down there. So any mistakes are going to be that much more dire when she and 3 other spiders come running at me. So we're going to try to be as safe as possible here. And we'll finish the Stalker off. I think up next I will probably do the Broodmother. So I will reset my pet, and I'll kind of show you how I do that as well. So this Stalker is donezo. Alright. So typically I'll just park my pet at the end of the hallway here. And then I'll run to the other end and then invis myself. And as he comes running at me because I broke Charm, I can cast level 4 Mez on him, and he will hopefully forget about me. So he is still Glare. Try it again. Nope. Try a 3rd time. There we go. So once he is glowering at me dubiously, he'll regenerate about 5% of his HP per tick. So that is very convenient to kind of refresh his HP. Alright. So the Broodmother that you see down there is level 56. So she has immunity from most Mez spells except for Rapture. So to deal with her, again, I've got 2 Broodlings down here, so that's a pretty good situation. I'm just going to pacify both of them. The mob I just pulled, the Stalker, is kind of to the right in that little hallway next to these mobs. So thankfully I don't need to worry about him now. And there we go. We've got everything pacified. So I'm just waiting for our pet to get back up to 100% here. Again, the most efficient heal is Mem Wipe, because once you got it on them, they regenerate really quickly for basically no mana other than what you use to wipe them. Alright, so we'll get this guy as our pet. Again, long stun, Tash, and Boltrans. He's ready to go, no waiting. So I'm gonna bring him over here so that he can hopefully get a backstab in against our Broodmother. I will Tash her and catch her with the pet. One thing to watch out for too is she can rampage, as can the Broodmaster. So you gotta kind of keep your distance enough to not get that rampage hit. She hits for, I believe, around 260 max, so that's a good chunk of HP for an enchanter. Or just a couple swipes are gonna get rid of your rune. So it's really important to keep far enough away. The downside is if you do have a charm break, you get summoned. But you know, pros and cons. All right, so the most dangerous part of the fight, obviously, is when she's not slowed. If you get a charm break when she's not slowed, she's going to do a whole bunch to you. So you'll see I grabbed Rapture. That's kind of just a safeguard. That's really the only way to get her to stop kind of biting you when you get a charm break. Usually if she's slowed, it's easy enough to stun your pet. Do the short stun, long stun method, and then get your pet back as your pet and attacking her. And then once you've done that, you can try to wipe her with the Blanket of Forgetfulness just to get her reset and get her back on your pet. Because again, if she's on you for too long, even slowed, so you'll see that happens right here. So short stun, long stun, she's taking bites out of me. But I'm getting Boltrans done on my pet, and we'll try to cast Blanket on her. And so she got wiped and then re-aggroed, so that's kind of a textbook charm break when you're fighting one of these bosses. It can go a lot worse if you get interrupted, or if she gets some lucky hits in. But yeah, that was a well-timed one and a lucky one. The Mother and the Master both do Enrage, so again, back your pet off to make sure they don't get chewed up. Having a hasted pet attacking into an Enrage when the Enrage can lead to doubles of over 500 can really nail down your pet fast. Alright, and that is all she wrote, so let's see what she dropped. Oh! Has the Velium Crystal Staff. Wonderful. So that's probably the best drop in this camp. Pull the next guy, and then I will talk a little bit about loot. So, Velium Crystal Staff that just dropped from the Brood Mother is 10 or 11k drop. Usually when folks are down here, they're looking for the breastplate gems. So, Flawless Diamonds drop from Hunters and the Named, as well as the Large Crystal Shard. As do Black Marbles and Pristine Emeralds. So those are really kind of the big money piece down here. You're gonna see those. They're stackable. Really nice to see those Flawless Diamonds especially. I will definitely not complain about the Crystal Staff though. That's a pretty rare find from the Brood Mother, and finding her up with it is a stroke of good luck. So anyway, we're going to continue to clear out her room, and then we will start with the rest of the camp. It's time for another pet refresh. Let's see, he's down below 20%, so again, making sure that he doesn't bite it. Missed him, and he's dubious, so he'll regenerate back up. And this is a good opportunity for us to just sit, rest, and regain some mana. We'll get prepped to clear the Brood Master's room. So unfortunately he can't drop the Velium Staff like his the Brood Mother counterpart, but for all intents and purposes he's a very similar mob. He's a level 56 rogue. So we'll start. He actually spawns in the center there. We'll start by pacifying the Broodling. And let's see, I usually try to avoid pacifying stalkers, but what the heck. Gotta resist. And there we go, it stuck the second time. It's pretty good. And I wandered into a trap. So this is why you gotta kind of keep alert to where you are. In this case, I triggered a stalker spawn because I ran straight into the trap. Fortunately though, I was able to do the stuns, and I was able to mez them. And Blanket, again, Blanket's great because it's just another reset button you have in your toolkit. So I had two on me there. The mez was able to take care of one of them. Was able to make me non-KOS to one of them, and then the other one I could clear with Blanket while he was still mezzed. So I'll put my damage shields back up, or my damage absorption back up, and then I can pull this stalker. Alright, well, on second thought, I think I might end up cleaning up the mess that I just made. So having those trap spawns, they can get a little out of hand, especially if you get more than one or two, because again, if you were to spawn a third one, you're just going to have them stack up there. So just to kind of clean things out, make sure I don't clog up the works, I'll clean up my mess and the mess of whoever spawned that first one there. The nice thing about, the nice and bad thing about these trap spawns is they won't they don't have a fixed spawn point really, so they will kind of follow you around, and then wherever you clear them, that's where they stay. So, alright, so I pacified the trap shard there too. So you'll find there's a lot of traps here, and sometimes the only way to kind of learn them is to stumble into them. Alright, so I'm going to pull this other spider too while I have a pet in this little hallway. So clear him out. Sure would be nice to be able to fast forward in game like I can do in post-production. Probably be able to clear the whole camp in just a couple minutes if that were the case. So one thing you probably noticed, camping BM here in Velks is a lot more active than down in Chardock. Oh, we got some respawn there. Mainly because you kind of have to just go ahead and kill everything instead of just sort of strategically or surgically taking out any of the names there. Alright, so we'll see if his friends are still pacified. They are. They're probably going to join in at some point, but that's probably okay. Again, remember this pet is the trap spider, so I'm a little less concerned about him living through the fight. It's actually probably fine if he, yeah, there's pacify wearing off on the broodling there. But if he doesn't survive, it's just one more that we don't have to kill the hard way. So. Alright, you'll notice I was casting Root on the broodlings. Just don't want 4 spiders running at me if I get a charm break, which I do right here. So that's unfortunate, but I was already in the middle of casting a mez, so it's probably alright. Get them all mezzed again, and then I will toss a Boltrans on the old pet. Get him back in the fight, finish him off. And I am fairly low on mana at this point, but as long as I can keep these guys rooted, at least I can take out the pet. Maybe I can deal with the broodlings later. One strategy that's completely viable here is if you've got broodlings sort of on the sides here, you can just take out the center spider, because that's the only one that's going to spawn the named. I do like killing everything here, because then you might get a hunter, which, again, as I mentioned earlier, hunters can drop the BP gems, which are really kind of the money of this camp. So it's usually worthwhile to kill basically everything if you can do it. Sometimes, you know, if you get some bad charm breaks, it eats up a lot of mana, and you can't really keep up with the spawns. But that's okay. Alright, so my pet got murked there, so I'm just going to clear these guys and call it good. So again, you saw that little hesitation in the hallway. That was me kind of making sure I wasn't walking into the trap again. But I'm gonna come back out here to take some more mana from this this priest here. Back up to about 80% mana, good enough to move forward there. So I definitely was not super efficient at that first clear. You could see that I was getting spawns in the middle there while I was Still clearing out the Broodmaster area. But the good news is we've got very full mana, so we can kind of continue forward here. Alright, so next up I'm going to clear the center room again. I've already seen that, so I'll kind of fast forward that for you. And I'll show you how to pull the shard after that. This hunter's almost done. Let's see what he has. Flawless diamond. Perfect. So again, that's really the reason why a lot of folks are down here and farm those diamonds as BP gems for the cash that they can be sold for. Right now, as of September 2023, the flawless diamonds I think go for about 3K, and black marble is about 1K. So it's a little bit down from what they were a couple of years ago, but still, if you can come out of here with a few of those, you're making bank. And you'll notice our pet is getting pretty low, so I was kind of giving him some help there. And we'll reset him here so he can regenerate. Alright, we're starting to get respawn in the middle here. Got some other hunters up, which is pretty nice. Hunters are the roughest kills, but they definitely have the most reward out of anything. Well, I think I'm going to cut to a kill of the shard just to show you how I pull him and how I kill him. And so we'll see you in a moment here. Alright, so I just finished off this broodling. I still got my stalker pet, and we're going to pull the shard. So shard has the ability to drop gems as well, including the BP gems. So we're going to grab him, and I will usually grab a dazzle here. So I'm going to pull him by social aggro. I'll dazzle this broodling here, or whatever it ends up being, and that will pull the shard up. So the shard can be kind of rough with resists, so I like to lay down the Tash first and then get him slowed. But he really doesn't have a whole lot of HP. The downside of him versus the spiders don't bash, which is very, very helpful. But he will, so he can kind of interrupt you mid-cast on things, and it can be kind of rough. So I think the shard is a little bit too close to the edge there, so he's going to aggro that broodling again. Which, again, this fight is fairly short. The shard doesn't have a whole lot of HP, so we should still be okay. running around checking respawn while I kill him. But we'll see what he's got in this instance. And my pet's looking a little down on HP too, so we'll probably give him a refresh after this fight. Possibly. Yeah, we got a black marble for our effort, so that's pretty good as well. So, well, I guess I'll just take out this this broodling while I can. He's really useful sitting there for the social aggro, but again, he could be a hunter. So let's get him respawned. And you'll get pretty used to the charm breaks. You just gotta have kind of a quick reaction time to them to make sure you don't get mauled to death while your hasted pet is smacking you. So I'll go through a couple key points here. Again, the mobs down in the Brood Mother, Brood Master camp. We got the Broodlings that are level 48, Stalkers level 50, and Hunters level 52. The named, so the Brood Master and the Brood Mother, are both level 56, so they can be pretty tough. And all the mobs down here are rogues, so watch out for backstab. As far as loot goes, the Velium Crystal Staff is probably the highest item here. That's the one that drops exclusively from the Brood Mother. You've also got Crystal Chitin, Breastplate, and Legs. Those can drop, I believe, from either the Mother or the Master. And then we've got Flawless Diamonds, Black Marbles, and a whole bunch of other gems that are pretty good for cash down here. As far as spells, double stuns will keep you alive. I recommend putting them on a key that's easily accessible. So whenever I have a charm break, I will do my quick stun, which is my V key. V as in Victor. And then the slower stun that stuns for 6 seconds, which is my F key, as in Foxtrot. I like having AE Mez and AE Blur up all the time here. Very useful for kind of resetting encounters that go awry, or if you don't have enough mana, you can at least stabilize and get a moment to think before you're kind of bitten to death by spiders. I appreciate Boltrans down here as well. Very quick to recharm, so in the space of a slow stun, in that 6 seconds, you can actually get a Boltrans off. Some folks I know prefer to stabilize the situation with AE Mez and then reset from there. Really up to taste. I like level 4 Mez a whole lot. It's very, very useful for resetting pets, for memory blurring a single target when you're not kind of in the heat of the moment. Never, ever, ever root the summoning mobs, so Hunters and the named you don't want to root, or else you're going to get summoned right into a backstab. Finally, down here again, the most important thing is to watch out for traps. That's what's going to kill you. Also, make sure you keep your Werewolf Illusion up. It lasts about a half an hour, so just make sure that you're casting it, or set a timer if it starts to run out on you pretty often. Well, as always, thanks again for joining me for another exciting video. Hopefully you learned something and you try out the Broodmaster, Broodmother camp for yourself. See you next time.